This is the Promising Practices for Health Equity podcast, brought to you by the Interdisciplinary Research Leaders Program, a national leadership program of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation.
Welcome back to Promising Practices for Health Equity, a podcast created by the Interdisciplinary Research Leaders Program, or IRL, a national program funded by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. I'm your host, Krystal Lee. In today's episode, we are featuring one of our most unique dissemination products, or video interview project, also known as the VIP. The VIP project was conceived, planned, executed, and lovingly edited by the phenomenal Mandy LaBreche. For the last 10 years, Mandy has served as the Associate Director of Operations for IRL. She is the life of the party, the person everyone identifies IRL with. If you're ever wondering what the word effervescent looks like in human form, it's Mandy LaBreche. Mandy is not just our operations expert and co-host of this podcast, she's also an artist. And this project is her art in action. VIP was created to give our fellows and alumni a space to share their experiences, their voices, and their lessons learned. For context, back in 2019, pre-pandemic, Mandy led what was going to be IRL's documentary project of interviews of the fellows. The format was very different, more academic, shall we say, and more focused on individual research projects. These interviews were conducted in person, but before Cohort 2 was all recorded, COVID lockdowns hit and the project was canceled. This is our attempt to revive that effort in a very different format. At the 2024 October Leadership Meeting in Minneapolis, Mandy conducted more than 30 interviews with individual fellows and with teams from Cohort 6 and 7, along with invited alumni. Each conversation is a powerful reflection on their IRL journey and a glimpse into the more just and equitable worlds they are working to create. We heard about their journeys through the IRL program, how they approached their research, how they built their partnerships, and how their work is advancing health equity. I remember while we were planning this, and Mandy was worried that people would not sign up to be interviewed. She said, I'm just going to ask people I know to sign up. This led to, let's call it, a spirited conversation about selection bias and objectivity. It turns out, however, that Mandy totally underestimated how much people wanted this opportunity to share their story, to be heard, and to be seen. We actually ran out of interview spots. It was a beautiful reminder of the relationships, trust, and community that Mandy has helped us to build over the last decade. The resulting series weaves these stories together thematically, highlighting not just the impact of IRL on research and communities, but on the fellows themselves. It shows how being part of IRL has shaped the way they approach research, partnership, and action to advance health equity. It is a true demonstration of Grace Lee Boggs' advice that we must transform ourselves before we transform the world. So today, we offer you the video interview project. You can listen to it right here in this episode, or you can watch the full visual series on our YouTube channel. The link is in our show notes. Without further ado, here is Mandy LaBreche's video interview project.
Hi friends, Mandy here. In my role as Associate Director of Operations for the IRL program, I've had the chance to wear a lot of different hats. But one of my most treasured projects, beyond this podcast of course, has been leading the video interview project, or VIP for short. I've never really thought of myself as an artist until my wonderful colleagues and friends, Robin and Krystal, lovingly called me one. And to be honest, this project helped me to start to believe them. Back in October 2024, at our annual Minnesota leadership meeting, I set up a little interview space and invited as many fellows from Cohort 6 and 7, along with alumni as possible, to sit down with me. I wanted to capture their reflections on how IRL has shaped their research, their leadership, and their collaborations. And then I asked each person a visioning question. Describe the world you want to see in the future. What came from that were 32 individual interviews and 4 team interviews, full of heart, honesty, wisdom, and so many feelings. Together, they tell us a powerful story about the IRL experience and the kind of future our community is working towards. I'm so very excited to share this VIP collection, Reimagining the Future, My hope is that as you listen and watch, you feel the same inspiration, hope, and energy that I feel every single time I revisit these conversations, because those are the feelings that keep us going and they're so deeply needed right now. So grab your favorite snack and bevy and maybe even a box of Kleenex and enjoy.
I want to live in a world where
I want to live in a world where
I want to live in a world where
I want to live in the world where
I want to live in a world where
the opinions, the thoughts, the wisdom, the innovation of youth and older adults are valued.
kids can go outside, they can go into natural spaces, parks, green spaces, and express themselves.
people can operate in true freedom.
people can feel others from others' perspective in a harmony society where people respect each other.
there is peace and harmony. There is no racism, there is no classism, there is no sexism.
It's something about the power of young and old and the synergy that comes from that is where I feel real change can happen.
They are not thinking about violence, and they specifically aren't distracted by their smartphones.
When I say freedom, I'm thinking broadly and socially as well as economically. And that's why I think guaranteed income is such an important part to that. It gives people autonomy to be able to take an income supplement and use it in the way they see fit, right? That's part of the freedom. But then also that frees them up to be able to take care of other things in their lives, invest in their children, be civically engaged, increase their education.
I often use water as an example. You see that the water could be used to destroy the foundation if you don't repair the home. But on the other side, water can also support a boat when all the waters collectively can make big things happen.
Where people don't have to worry about, how they're going to pay for their medicines versus how they're going to pay for food. But you can pay and get both of those things.
Well, if you're worried about your basic needs, like housing and food and transportation, you're not going to be able to be engaged in other parts of your life, and you're ultimately not going to be free.
We have the potential in our communities to transform the physical space around us and make it our own.
There are no boundaries put on people because of the color of their skin.
Freedom to be themselves, freedom to live a life that's free, yes, from oppression, but also just from hardships and difficulties that keep them from being, for example, civically engaged and civically minded.
So I feel like every one of us is just like a drop of water, but collectively we can make big things happen.
And so if we could just get over some of our stereotypical societal thoughts about those two generations and let that power meet, wonderful things can happen.
I want to live in a world where
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 it is normal to experience diversity.
systems, experiences are designed to meet people exactly where they're at.
community health clinics are the center of the healthcare system.
people do not, I like to say, discriticize or categorize people by even different identities and you're this or that and what are you and why you're not and how you're different and similar to me.
people have what they need and that they work hard to make sure that other people who don't have can get what they need.
everyone has the resources they need to be their healthiest, most thriving version of themselves.
When I think of my daughter, for example, I imagine a world where she can experience different tastes every day, like different cuisines. She can hear different languages every day. She can see different religious and spiritual beliefs every day.
If a neighborhood is invested and knows who's there, and supporting one another's health, maybe we can build the solidarity that we need.
When I walk into a hospital, they know how to center my own religious needs or my own, even how I like to be touched or talked to.
I do believe that everything is a spectrum. This is now the engineer speaking here. We humans have a problem processing continuous streams of data, which is why we need to put it into buckets and then make it, what are you? How is that similar or different to me?
World is equitable, it is just, it is fair, it is happy, and that it is peaceful, and that it is sustainable. The world has already been sustainable, or we're making it unsustainable, or making it unjust.
I want to live in a world where laughter is what you hear more often than not.
Being able to live in a place and be in a world that embraces diversity is my ultimate vision.
Is a world that is reviving some of these old practices that we know used to work.
Yeah, everybody's getting what they need in the place that they need it.
Everybody has a basic good of health that needs to be supported, and that would be my vision.
If we were to live in a world in which we could actually see the inside of a person rather than all those things that we can see outside, that's the world that I would like to live in.
And I want to live in a world where everyone feels safe, regardless to respect to race, sexual orientation, all of the centers of power.
Being able to mix the old with the new, almost kind of like in the vein of Sankofa, right, where you can look in order to look forward, you look backward. That's the kind of spirit that all of us are going to be living in the future.
I want to live in a world where
I want to live in a world where
I want to live in a world where I'm
I want to live in a world where
I want to live in a world where
I want to live in a world where
neighborhoods understand diversity is all kinds of people being there.
everyone can be as healthy as they can possibly be.
Where I'm doing something else for a living. I'd like to be out of business.
The word housing isn't synonymous with stress.
We all belong, whatever that looks like for us and feels like for us.
People respect each other. That just cuts out the bad and keeps the good.
All kinds of people living there, from older people to children, the different foods that are being shared, the conversations that are being had, music that is being played.
Where their navigation of the healthcare delivery system is absent of barriers, they get the care they need when they need it.
So something that Sean said last night really resonated with me about fighting for a world you want to belong in.
The ultimate goal is for everyone to have the highest ability, the highest level of health that is possible for an individual.
That is really inviting people to live in housing, especially, that is the way that they want, not the way we're choosing for them.
When they talk about housing, it becomes this stressor. Can I find housing? Can I maintain it? How is it tied to my household wealth? I dream of a world where that's not how housing gets talked about.
And we can move so much farther down that evolutionary journey where people respect each other. I think that's very important.
The intergenerational aspect is really important to me. I talk a lot about how going away from intergenerational housing has really done us in. Our older people are not being taken care of. Our younger people are not being taken care of.
This idea of abundance-based narratives about our communities, and it's something that I learned from one of our other community organizations called the Jackson Center. They work in our base in a historically Black neighborhood in Chapel Hill and are trying to move away, get our community to move away from such a deficit narrative about such a rich and beautiful community.
I dream of a world where we have many different housing types and there's choice. And that choice means that if I want to be able to walk to my job, I could afford to do so.
And they have all of their basic needs met.
I want that to become more widespread, that we think of communities and people and humans and society with more of an abundance mindset.
Is always dreaming about it and talking to people about what that looks like. Because I think people have forgotten that we've always had good things. We keep going away from it. That's the world that I always create in my mind to continue doing this work.
And the more we can do that collectively, the more likely it is for people like us to be out of work. So I think that'd be a good thing.
I want to live in a world where
I vision a world where
I want to live in 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 a world where
humans are more thoughtful and connected to the physical realities of the universe and the planet.
everyone's dreams become their reality.
our great-great-great-great-grandchildren will understand their connection to our ancestors.
I feel safe, and I want to live in a world where my family, my friends, and my community also feel safe.
the majority of our food system is local.
Love, justice, and freedom are guiding values that are evident in our schools, in our healthcare system, in our communities.
Farmers are now starting to apply what indigenous knowledge is known for maybe millions of years around, hey, like what we eat is not just like a product that comes from the ground. Like it all works together, the sun and the air and the water and the land.
I taught third grade, and one of our grounding quotes that we used was by Maya Angelou, where she says, "My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style."
The joy that comes with simply talking story, that comes with the music and the language.
I hope for a world where my kids feel safe and learn to grow and be leaders.
They can bring in their own style, their own way of being, that their differences make them powerful, that their way of engaging with the world is necessary.
There's been trauma, but at the same time, it shows our strength and the ability to really revitalize practices, language.
So questions around the physics, around the earth, and how those connect to what we would say are like social, economic problems, challenges. That's where I'm at right now.
That decisions are guided by those kind of values and principles so that every person is able to maximize their potential and to live freely in this world and contribute all of the gifts that they have inside of them.
Focus on making sure that we do everything we can to build truly local food system. And I think if we can do that, a lot of other things will fall into place.
And I just imagine a world where that quote is true, where it's not just what I say in the morning, it's not just what my students say, but it is the reality for everyone.
I want to hear our great-great-great-grandchildren still speaking in Olelo Hawaii, in our native tongue, and understand that they're connected with their ancestral lands.
I want to live in a world where
I want to live in a world where
I want to live in a world where
I also want to live in a world where
there are no prisons, no youth detention centers, no police, no structures of harm.
I am not terrified when my Black husband is late arriving home because I don't know if something happened to him.
Systems of oppression have been replaced by systems of love and of care, networks of care, where my Black and brown brothers and sisters don't have to worry if their children are going to make it home at night.
community is the solution, the first solution, instead of like systems or structures that have persisted for a long time.
my teachers whom I'm training know that their students have access to the health care they need.
Where my trans husband doesn't risk being murdered because somebody finds out who he is.
I want to live in a world where we're not afraid to experiment and think about how we do things differently, like we're always evolving and changing, and we don't get stuck in creating new systems and new mental models and ways of maintaining as opposed to a way of just growing and evolving.
I want to live in a world where women can do whatever the hell they want to do with their bodies, regardless of someone who has never lived in a woman's body ever, whatever they say.
Without having to fight an insurance or a government or a state. That's going to do more to fix issues in schools than any curriculum choice they can make.
What that looks like for me is if you can imagine someone opening their door and it's a nice, bright, sunny day and they're just free, they're at peace. There's no stress in their body, there's no worry in their mind, there's no concern about how am I going to survive or eat or what do I have to evade.
I want to live in a world where I can trust that healthcare is a basic human right and not a privilege of those who can afford to pay.
That right now we're told are the solution to healing and growth, but really limit that.
Where people can have access to the structural, intrapersonal, and intrapersonal resources they need to soar. That's the world I want to live in.
There is a community-informed solution, there's a path for someone. That's the world I want to live in.
I want to live in a world where it doesn't take a white person for someone to listen to what I've been saying the whole time. Yeah, that's the world I want to live in.
I want to live in Ebony's world.
I want to live in a world where
I want to live in a world where
I want to live in a world where
So what I would like to see,
I want to live in a world where
everybody gets along and understands each other's cultures and belief systems and allow themselves to have the conversation.
People know that they matter, that their challenges or experiences that come up, that their voices will be heard.
Where all the isms are gone, a world without isms, and a world in which people truly feel like they belong and that they matter.
Is abundance within your own community.
People are free, and freedom means that your home is a refuge.
We used to be able to have the conversation, but now I think a lot of people are struggling with that, having that conversation, being open.
And that they have the choice and the capacity to live the life that they want.
Hawaiian style is you live ahupua, so you only live within your own community, and everything that you need is in that community. You don't have to go order something from 10,000 miles away and have it shipped in.
You know, so if anyone is living a life that maybe others seem as maybe less than or different, it's an intentional choice. It's not because they're without access to resources or agency.
Your home is a place that's secure, that you can't lose access to if your landlord decides to raise the rent so they can get more profit.
And being that I come from a sanctuary city and we have all different cultures from around the world, I often get invited to like parties from different cultures, and that's the one thing people don't, I think, the people who need it don't go, and that's unfortunate.
We're speaking up for people who may be deaf or deafblind, that we're also creating spaces that will be safer for immigrant populations.
Your home is a place that you have the power to shape, to make sure that it's a place that you and your family can thrive in.
But I would like my granddaughter to see the many things that I was able to see growing up in nature, because a lot of it is no longer present.
That the lives that we all live are of our own choosing and making.
There's an understanding of the intersections of oppression, and that we choose where people find joy in stepping into spaces to create equity and inclusion.
And there's a freedom in having secure housing, and it connects to so many other things. So the future that I envision is a future where people are living healthy, thriving lives. And it starts with the home as a locus of that freedom and well-being.
I want to live in a world where
I want to live in a world where
I want to live in a world where
I want to live in a world and see my great-grandchildren live in a world where
I want to live in a world where
everyone centers around the harms of the past and acknowledge them.
like it looks like a world where we have our basic social and economic needs met. And it also looks like a world where we recognize our mutual interdependence.
Where everybody has the opportunity to breathe good air and drink good water and dream beyond their reality.
Where we are focusing on healing, and we are committed to that, and knowing that there is no such thing as an arrived state, but a constant journey.
I'd love to live in a world where young people respected their elders and had great partnerships with their elders. And the same, and not flip it, right? Where our elders respected young people and really saw the opportunities for partnership and growth together.
Where people can be themselves, where they can bring their talents, their views, their ideas of how to live and how to be.
It demonstrates to me, it feels like people understand humanity, right?
There's opportunities for fun and enjoyment and love and hope.
And we think in terms of the collective, we don't think in terms of just individual success, individual failure.
Ridding ourselves of the boundaries and the divides that have been erected in a way to promote this idea that one is different from the other or one is better from the other.
Where differences of opinion, differences of appearance, differences, period, really matter and are upheld.
When we engage and acknowledge the past and how that matters today, that's the world that I want to live in.
That freedom to really be yourself and bring your vision for the world to fruition, I think that feels like the only way that we're going to solve some of these big problems.
And that world would be, for me, a mid-70s, 75, sunny and blue all the time.
I really think the cultural emphasis on individualism is one of the most damaging things that we're facing. And I think that when you can abolish those things, there would be forms of human flourishing and forms of human connection that we can't even conceive of because we've never lived in a world where that's been possible.
That everybody has an opportunity to be who they were placed on this earth to be.
And I believe that it's the world that will exist. Maybe not in my time, but it will. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for listening and imagining with us. If this episode resonated with you, I have two things to ask of you. First, share this episode on social media with friends, family, or anyone who you think will enjoy the podcast. If you feel like going above and beyond, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or give us 5 stars on Spotify. This helps us reach other listeners who are working towards health equity. Learn more about the fellows and the projects behind these stories by visiting our website, irleaders.org. We also encourage you to watch the full Story Jam video series on our YouTube channel. The link will be in the show notes. A special thank you to Chris Whitman for bringing our collective vision to life. Watching Chris work in real time was a remarkable experience. She listened so intently, capturing the essence of each story and synthesizing the diverse narratives into a single, cohesive visual. She made the intangible tangible, and in doing so, created an anchor point for our continued work, a reminder of what is possible. To see the visual representation of our stories created by Chris Whitman of Whitman Studios, check out our show notes. Thanks again for being with us on this journey, where every step we take together brings us closer to a healthier, more just world. Until next time, take care. Promising Practices for Health Equity is produced by the Interdisciplinary Research Leaders Program, a national leadership program of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. A special thanks to our guests, our production team at Studio Americana, and to you, our listeners, for being a part of this important conversation.